why do we say that veneration of icons is bad when we still bow before the crucifix in the service? Does that not still fall under the second commandment to make graven images and bow before them? Thank you for all that you do for the church. Based on the numbering of the commandments, I'm thinking they may not sure, but they may not be Lutheran asking this, but it is I think it's a fair question.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
We say don't venerate icons. I think there's a huge difference between making a slight bow. Like I was at the pastor's circuit meeting yesterday at St. Paul Hamel, right? And they processed in with a cross, and people bowed towards it. But I don't think they're, in that case, like they're not worshiping the cross, right? They are acknowledging that the cross is a symbol of where Jesus died for us. It's just like when people, bow when they come up to receive communion. Or maybe a better example is when they are in the sanctuary and they come up and there's no communion elements on the altar, they still bow, or many of them bow or reverence the altar. Why? Because it's the place where Jesus comes to us with his body and blood. So they're not worshiping the altar. They're acknowledging, hey, this is the place where Jesus feeds us. And so I think it's very different than bowing before an image and like worshiping at the image, or venerating, in quotes, whatever you want to call it. Doing that in front of an image, or even in front of a crucifix for that matter, like where you're directing your prayers or things to that or through that. Whereas I think it's a sign of respect and honor. Just like, probably the best example we have culturally, right, is like saluting the flag, right? People will salute the flag or put their hand over their hearts. Why? As a sign of respect, not merely for the flag, but for what the flag stands for and what it's supposed to be pointing you to. So that's how I've kind of always understood it. It's never really bothered my conscience or anything like that. But I do know it is a question I hear come up. They're not the first person I've heard ask this. So
what is here? I don't know this. I'm just thinking about it while you're talking. So there's a theology of the icon in the East. So the icon is understood
in the East, yeah,
sacramentally,
the East is different,
right?
Yeah.
So the Eastern Orthodoxy or Eastern Christianity understands the icon as this window to heaven, and it does have a real sacramental sense in Eastern theology. I don't think there's a parallel to the statues of the West. In other words,
right.
I don't think there's an equivalent or a parallel theology that Western Christianity has of images or of statues that the East does not have, which is interesting. So that means, I suppose if there was, like from Roman Catholicism, like an iconic theology of the crucifix, then we would have to talk about like the veneration of crucifixes. But there's just no, as far as I can tell, there's no parallel or no equivalent. So the reason why it comes up in the question of veneration comes up with images and not statues is because there's not an argument there. Part of the interesting distinction between East and West is this question of like images, flat or three-dimensional. And part of it is the history of the numbering of the creeds. And so in the East, they have the second commandment, you shall not make any graven images. So they're making ungraven images instead of graven images. And so you go to Greece, and the only statues you see in Greece are the pagan ones. All the Christians only have icons. It's all flat. And then when you go to Rome, you have all these Christian statues everywhere. It's just it's an amazing thing how it mattered for the culture and worked itself out that way. But I think that's the reason why. To answer the question, like the reason why we have to talk about veneration of icons is because the Orthodox theology of the icon is a means of grace. And we have to say that while an image, either a statue or an icon that's drawn or an image that's painted can instruct, it can bring to our minds the promises of God and the text of the Scripture. And it can be useful for teaching. It is not a means of grace. And this is why I think we have to be particularly careful around the icon just because of the Orthodox teaching related to it.
No, I think that's really helpful.
It makes me uncomfortable, by the way. This is a growing discomfort. I don't know if I should confess it out loud, but the bowing to the processional cross is for whatever reason, seeming more and more strange to me. Like I always will reverence the altar, the Lord present or not, this is the place where the real body and blood comes. So it's a confession of that there's a locatedness to the gifts, and that's the place. That's the place where the Lord gives gifts. But the processional cross is, I don't know why, I'm not 100% sure why that discomfort is there, but this kind of question scrapes at it a little bit.
Do you think it's because maybe maybe you feel like some in our circles are taking it too far?
Maybe.
Like with their views on that, maybe they're towing the line there.
Yeah, I think it's everything that we do in the service should emphasize word and sacrament, and sometimes it gets a little bit too. The attention gets drawn to the ornaments. It's fine to have ornaments there, but our attention, it's maybe the same discomfort I have with the ashes on Ash Wednesday. I never have liked, and I have a growing with the ashes. It's like, I mean, we do it. All right, fine. But people are like, the ashes seem like to impact them. They're more meaningful than the very body and blood of Christ, which is there. It's like, hey, when your sacramentals start surpassing your sacraments, then this is trouble. Hey, YouTube theologians, like, subscribe, wolfmueller.co for free books to download, find a church, the free newsletter Wednesday, whatnot. See you soon.